Roboteers standby on tour, flashbacks to Las Vegas, and to quote ELO, there's gonna be a showdown, all this week in Robot Combat.
2, 1, activate.
Hello and welcome to This Week in Robot Combat. Apologies for last Sunday, the video going up and then not working and being delayed. If you aren't in the know of what happened there, basically don't mess with China and certainly don't use their footage without their permission. That's kind of bad, but hey ho, let's move on with the news this week, and we're actually going to start with my review of Battlebots Series 9, Episode 9, or Season 9. Season 9, yeah. Okay. So after Black Dragon took the Desperado and we beat up a load of sharks for spoiling Battlebots last week, the regular preliminary rounds continue, and that's the rounds where they have 4 fights each, and up to 4 fights each anyway. So the first fight we got was Huge versus Gigabyte. I thought it was a really good fight for Huge, not so much for Gigabyte. Gigabyte had nothing for the overhead attacks, it really didn't. Great tactics in reversing the direction of the spin on Huge's weapon, worked perfectly. So instead of spinning upwards like most vertical spinners, once again they were spinning downwards like they were disco dancing. Gigabyte's weapon got pinned on, I think it was slip pads that they have to make sure it doesn't hit the body of it, but it got pinned onto one of those slip pads so it couldn't move. And it stopped driving later on, there was smoke coming out of it. Huge just dominated that fight, and that is a big hitting robot, Gigabyte. It's one of the top tier robots, I would say, from sort of Robo Games era. They've defeated Tombstone or Last Right several times. They are a very formidable team, and to beat them in a fight like that, they did incredibly well. So well done, Huge. Both robots go 2-1, interestingly, and that was one bad prediction I made. I don't know why I made that bad prediction, because having watched the fight, it made total sense that Huge should have won that. But there we are. We move on to Breakerbox versus Uppercut. This is the last time I underestimate Uppercut, okay? Never again will I underestimate it. It is a formidable robot. Breakerbox actually started this match really well with some excellent driving. Uppercut was quite tippy top. It was all sort of on its side for some of the fight and on its other side for some of the fight. Uppercut got a few knocks to its wedge, sort of dinged up the actual wedge again, but the tactics of Breakerbox continued as wedge push, and that's exactly what they did. But then something happened, and I'm not sure what it was. I think Uppercut got a hit on the backside of Breakerbox, either that or Breakerbox just burnt out all by itself again. But Uppercut won by KO and go 2-0. Breakerbox go 1-1, and that first win for Breakerbox, was a bit ropey anyway against Falcon. Apparently, now I've been talking to Mr. Psycho, but when Breakerbox came out of the arena fighting Falcon, they take him outside to sort the batteries out, and then they go back into the pits. When they got Breakerbox outside, it decided to have a tantrum, and its light post caught on fire. So apparently to see it go up in smoke again was quite disappointing, especially for Mr. Psycho. So F in the chat or something like that. Another bad prediction from me, though. I predicted that Breakerbox would win against Uppercut. Whoops. Wanhu versus Mammoth. It was a good driving match. Wanhu performed the best it has all season, and that weird curved wedge thing on the front of one side of it, not on both sides, just on one side, really helped it out a lot. Mammoth was able to slap them in the face a lot. No such flips as we saw against Axe backwards, unfortunately. Wanhu controlled this fight and kept coming back at Mammoth, who were playing quite defensive, I thought. It went to the judges. Wanhu got the decision and go 2-1, Mammoth go 1-2. I think it was a fair decision. Wanhu deserved to win that one. They did some good damage on the front end of Mammoth. As I said, Mammoth was sort of sitting in place and just waiting for them. They weren't attacking as such. They were... It's almost like when a wasp flies at you, your immediate reaction is, oh, go away, wasp. but the wasp then stings you and wins anyway. So that's what it was like, I think. Next we had Son of Archie versus Texas Twister, and I blinked and this one was over. The first hit, Son of Archie sent Texas Twister flying, and then the second hit, it removed the rear plate and loads of gubbins started to fall out of Texas Twister. Texas Twister got hit up onto the screws, nearly got wedged and stuck out of the arena sort of upright, which was weird. But it fell back into the arena. But at this point, Texas Twister aren't moving, and Son of Archie got another hit to make sure, and that's all she wrote. Both bots go 2-1, and I get my first prediction of the episode correct. At last, hooray! I forgot to mention, I went for Mammoth against Wanhu. Never mind. Sub-Zero versus P1. Now, Battlebots keep putting fights up before the episode airs, and this was the one they put up, which I thought was a bit strange because it's sort of in the middle of the episode. But Sub-Zero versus P1. P1 got their very first full television fight. We saw them lose against Sidewinder, highlighted online, and we got like a second of footage on the actual episode that had Sidewinder versus Scorpios. It was a really good fight, that Sidewinder fight. I have no idea why it was highlighted online as opposed to... it wasn't even on the Science Channel. But there we are. Sub-Zero coming off a massive rebuild after losing to Cobalt in episode 1. They actually went to the pits and Jenny Tarr spoke to them about their rebuild. They're now using their prototype frame because Cobalt was ripping through the bottom plate and then into the frame itself, so they can't use that frame anymore. It's structurally unsound. Sub-Zero got all the flips in this fight. P1 was struggling to drive and stay on the Battlebots floor because it was just being thrown everywhere. And P1 got flipped out of the arena. Down the back of the screws in that thin little gap where we've seen thin robots go before, like Bloodshot nearly got stuck down there. Not Bloodshot, Bloodsport. I'm thinking of my own robot again. Bloodsport got chucked down there and then fell back in somehow. That was some weird physics. But Duck, last series by Bronco, got flipped into there. But an Uta for Sub-Zero, which is impressive. And then Sub-Zero went for the mini-bot and got an Uta with that as well. You know, just for the memes and giggles, I suppose. But Sub-Zero go 1-1. P1 unfortunately go 0-2, which is a shame because I really like P1. I like the sparks that come out of the back of it. It's really cool. And another terrible prediction on my part. So cool, good. It's not like I've only predicted one correct fight. Next, Deep Six versus Nelly the Ellybot. I didn't think we'd be seeing Nelly again this season after their fight with Rainbow. They were really all kinds of messed up, but they were back and bonking, except they weren't bonking at all. Deep Six get their second fight in 2 episodes, which is a bit weird, but I'm actually quite glad I've seen that in actual Battlebots because I know for the Grand Slam I've done a similar mistake. So 2 episodes on the trot where we get Deep Six, which, you know, you can't go wrong. Weirdly, Nelly got stuck on the floor at the very start. I've actually skipped over a bit of this. I've got my review here, that's why I keep looking down here, but Deep Six removes the ears of Nelly to start with, and then something flies upwards taking out a light and glass comes raining down all over Deep Six. It was an impressive camera shot to see. It's just like bang. It's like in cartoons where it just rains like gallons of water over them. Anyway, then Deep Six mushes Nelly's face in and Nelly stops moving. At the same time, Deep Six dug through the Battlebots floor and we knew it was going to happen, but it was like a knife through butter. It really was. It just went and the next thing you know, you think it's just bounced off the floor, and when you show the slow-mo, it's gone. It's weird physics going on all the time. But it dug through the Battlebots floor and knocked itself out. And it's a televised double KO. We saw a double KO last year between Valkyrie and Overhaul, I believe. And as we know from that fight, it went to a judge's decision whereby Deep Six won against Nelly, obviously because they did all the damage and aggression and control. And Deep Six go 2-0, Nelly goes 0-2. Now, I'm glad I stuck with my Deep Six win prediction, and technically It was a double KO, which counts as a KO, so I'm calling that one a correct prediction, and I don't care what you think, it is a correct prediction. I need this second fight, okay? It's literally the only other fight I correctly predicted from this episode, so please, God, let me have it. Lastly, we had Whiplash versus Witch Doctor. I was really looking forward to this one heading into it. Pre-season, I said that this was the best Witch Doctor has looked, and it could go a very long way, although I did say that Whiplash would win this fight, so, you know, what do I know? But hey-ho, Witch Doctor dominated this fight, popping Whiplash up a lot and doing a lot of damage. Witch Doctor put Whiplash into the screws, and they struggled to escape, and when Whiplash did escape again, they put them into the other set of screws right next to it, which was just hilarious to watch. Whiplash escape again using their lifter. It was sort of like a scissor movement. They open up and escaped. But by this point the fight is almost over. Whiplash do manage to turn over Witch Doctor with their lifter, but the Stream X saves Witch Doctor very, very easily. And they go down to the 3-minute buzzer, whereby it was a unanimous judges' decision in favour of Witch Doctor, who go 3-0 this season, and that is a huge achievement compared to last season, basically. Now, I know one of those fights wasn't an overly good win, went to the judges against Shatter and scraped that one, but an incredible fight, this one. Whiplash go 2-1. The main point of this is that predicting fights is difficult, especially with so many evenly matched fights. I think it was the Coleslaw on the Brango channel when they did their fight predictions video for this week, said it was going to be incredibly difficult to predict any of these, and he was absolutely right. It could, honestly, every one of these fights could have gone the other way. So yeah, that is this week's episode of Battlebots covered, and we shall move on to the news proper. Yes, we will, and it's more Battlebots news, as the YouTube channel for Battlebots have been uploading these fights from the Las Vegas live event that happened just before the season began. So far, the only 2 videos that are up are Witch Doctor vs Tombstone and Bronco vs Free Shipping, but they have been doing this weekly, so expect a new one this week, potentially. And sticking with Battlebots, and more namely Duck, you have the opportunity to go and bid on a piece of duck, either from last season, which is the duck bill that went up against Tombstone, or this season's one that went up against Kobold, that's all kinds of twisted out of shape. These bids were correct at the time of screenshot, which was on Sunday morning. And you can find more information and links to this on the Team Black and Blue Facebook page. Now we turn to China, and please don't copyright ban me, where King of Bots continues with the team set up and everyone in them is dressed in the same clothes. Does this mean we have to see John Mladnick and the Cooper brothers in tight leather? Oh dear. And anyway, I'm now not really sure what's happening. I assume that all the teams are now fighting each other to see who's going to win, but I know for a fact that we haven't seen all the robots yet, so I'll be interested to see what happens. We do know that Tanshay is fighting this week. Yay, Tanshay, we love Tanshay here, as is Megabyte. Orby is, or this is Orby Wedge or something like that, is fighting Cat King, which is Team Mad Catter from Battlebots, and Spectre's taking flying lessons from More Vertical Spinners, so that should be interesting to watch. Anyway, King of Bots should appear all over Facebook and YouTube tomorrow or today or whenever they decide to upload it. Now we turn to some RoboNerd hearsay and whatnot. I have heard rumours and rumblings that we might be seeing something at RoboNerd as well as Onslaught, which will be really cool. 2 classic Robot Wars machines going to be there. We also know for a fact that the Roboteers Standby podcast will have a presence at RoboNerd as well, and they will be giving out some of their 4,000 stickers. And by the way, Standby is spelt as 1 word, not 2. Roboteers Standby is 2 words. There you go. Now, if you yourself is attending RoboNerd or thinking of attending and you wish to take a robot with you, or even if you don't want to take a robot with you, you need to go and have a read of this post over on the RoboNerd Facebook page. It is basically all the key information you will need to know for the day, as well as all the safety on site for all that stuff. It will continue rain or shine because they now have a gazebo too, which is exciting, so yay RoboNerd. The final episode of Extreme Robots Guildford 2019 will be premiering on the YouTube channel and Facebook page of Extreme Robots tonight at 7 PM, so make sure you go and check out that wild finale to see which team wins the competition. Now, Saturday just gone, just saw an Antweight event happen over in Milton Keynes called Roboshowdown. This event was partaken by many different competitors with many really cool designs. Congratulations go to Team Panoramic for coming third with their pusher robot, I'll crump with you or something like that. It's a quote from The Simpsons, I think. TTRE was in attendance, as was Drizzle and Rev4. First look of that we've had. And Team Solanza Frog had this wonderful Antweight that got absolutely mushed to death by, I believe it was Drizzle, so